Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, where you will find interesting guests and discussions about cutting-edge topics to assist you on your journey. The Quantum Guide Show is ideally suited to the newly awakened and for those who feel isolated by their newfound beliefs. The mind, body, and spirit thrive when we have a mission, and there is no greater mission than to become the change that we wish to see in the world. So hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube, Odyssey, and Telegram channels, and share this show with your friends. Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 98, I have a very special guest, Cathy O'Brien. Cathy O'Brien is a nationally and internationally recognized U.S. government whistleblower who speaks on the subject of MK Ultra mind control and how to heal from it. Knowledge is our defense against mind control, and Cathy's experience empowers her insight into the far-reaching effects of mind control on society today, and what you can do to reclaim, protect, and expand your free thought. Her website is www.trance-formation.com, and it will be posted along with Cathy's other links in the description below. Cathy says, I secured the healing methods Mark taught me on my website when mind control, masked as a virus, was unleashed on the global population. The methods are easy to self-apply and really just remind us of our birthright to heal from within. It is within us all to heal ourselves. Her PTSD Time to Heal ebook has a pay what you can, if you can, option, so everyone can have it now, regardless of income or location. Today, Cathy continues to inspire many people with her trauma recovery techniques, which we will talk about today. Hi, Cathy. Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for that comprehensive introduction that will just have everybody up to speed so we can have continue our conversation. It's really nice meeting you, and I appreciate what you're doing, bringing truth to light for so many.
Oh, thank you, Cathy. Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the viewers. So I want to thank all of you viewers out there also for attending and watching this show. So this is something that's so interesting. When I started doing research into MK Ultra, I thought that was back in the 40s or back in the 50s. And I'm wondering, for the viewers that aren't really familiar with this subject, Cathy, can you explain a little bit about what MK Ultra mind control is all about?
Yes, MK Ultra mind control is certainly proliferating today, and it's a sliding scale from the kind of MK Ultra mind control that I experienced, which was very robotic, to information control, because we all formulate our thoughts, opinions, and actions based on what we know. And we need to know that knowledge base has been deliberately altered in education. It's been deliberately altered through controlled media. And the purpose of it is to allow for the secret operation that's been going on for a long time, for ushering in what Adolf Hitler and George Bush and Joe Biden term the New World Order. So we need to understand what that's all about and realize that after World War II, Project Paperclip brought over the Nazi and fascist scientists into the U.S., and the 1947 National Security Act and the CIA were soon formed thereafter to keep information secret that was brought over with them, like the secrets of MK Ultra mind control. MK Ultra mind control is a very strategic scientific formula for external control of the mind, whether it's, like I said, from manipulating a knowledge base to the kind of mind control that I experienced, where I was tortured and systematically programmed to carry out the bidding of these criminals who are behind this global slave society agenda that we're all experiencing today. My experience certainly gave me eyes to see and ears to hear what mind control is all about, because knowledge is our defense against mind control. That's why shows like yours are so important for bringing this truth to light and empowering people with the knowledge that they're needing. Because so many people today are waking up and saying, what in the world is going on? It's like, well, you just need this one little piece of the puzzle, this one bit of truth that really does make us free, because that truth has been deliberately suppressed. The information that was brought over from the Hitler-Himmler research into multi-generational studies of the effects of trauma on the human mind show that any knowledge base, belief system, or trauma base, abusive family or whatever, becomes autogenic after 3 generations. It's just born in the same way that language becomes passed down from generation to generation. After 3 generations, it becomes autogenic. Trauma is the basis of mind control. So the studies of trauma for MK Ultra mind control were very extensive, and it was found that the ultimate trauma on the human mind is sexual abuse of a child prior to age 5 while their brain is still forming. That's important information that's been withheld from education and from society, and it's the basis of what's behind the pedophile agenda that's being pushed so hard today. It's because it's a mind control agenda, and our children are targeted because they know that sexualization of children is the ultimate trauma. In my case, I was born into a multi-generational incest-based family. My parents were sexually abused, and they were sexually abusing me from infancy. And so the sexual abuse that I was experiencing from my father wasn't something I could judge was wrong or even know that that wasn't the way life was. I was just an infant. But my brain knew the pain and suffocation that I was experiencing, and it compartmentalized memory. It actually shut down neuron pathways in the brain so the rest of the mind can function normally. That's the mind's sane defense to trauma too horrible to comprehend. It's a defense mechanism that we've all been born with, and we've all been blessed with this. And when we understand it, then we realize that it's within us to be able to open those neuron pathways back up, to be able to deal with our childhood trauma. And there's another mechanism that kicks in around age 30 when we get electrochemical changes in our brain. It's just what everybody goes through. And when that happens, a lot of times that starts opening up the neuron pathways in the brain, and repressed memory, repressed childhood trauma starts to surface. Very often, people start remembering what happened to them as a little child when they're about that age. So that's another aspect of our mind-brain function that they know about and has been suppressing from us so that they can manipulate people by their secret knowledge. That secret knowledge was being shared and passed around secret societies. My grandfather had a Blue Masonic Lodge, and my father was trafficking me. It wasn't called trafficking back then, but he was sharing me around as a little toddler at the Blue Masonic Lodge, where they knew the secrets of the effects of trauma on the human mind. And they thought, what better place to hide their perversions than in the mind of a child who can't think to bring it to mind, because those neuron pathways are shut down. Has to be triggered open by the sexual abuse occurring again and again as needed. And once we understand this pertinent mind-brain function that's been kept secret from us through the secret societies that are proliferating, then we begin to understand how my victimization ended up going up to a White House Pentagon level, because my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge had local politicians there. And one of those local politicians went on to become US president. As his political career escalated, so too did my victimization in MK Ultra mind control. Again, it's a very strategic, scientific formula that was perpetuated on military, NASA, and DARPA installations throughout my victimization. Because that politician approached my father and said he could receive immunity from prosecution if he would agree to sell me into MK Ultra mind control. Immunity from prosecution. That I was born in 1957. This was like 1960. And already our justice system is being eroded to allow for this secret MK Ultra mind control Project Monarch. It was called, the multi-generational one that I was sold into. They've been around for a long, long time, and they've been sanctioned by these politicians. So I ended up working deep in the Washington, D.C. swamp among these perpetrators. I saw what human trafficking is. I experienced human trafficking. I know that drug and human trafficking are the funding mechanisms for this globalist tyranny that we're experiencing today, what this dark cabal is imposing on people to keep them traumatized and victimized and subdued. But the good news is it's within us all to heal, and it's within us all to gather our strength of spirit when we realize that the strength is the human spirits. Where we win and where they lose, it's game over. But they don't want anybody to know that, and they can't stop us from having that strength of spirit to stand for the things we believe in out of love for our children, and stop this pedophile agenda and restore justice to our system. That's where we win. And that's what they fear. They can't control it. They can't suppress it. It's our God-given birthright, but they can manipulate our minds so that we forget to exert it, so that we feel like we're being victims, and then we succumb to their leadership because we don't believe in ourselves anymore. We don't believe in that inner strength and the blessing that we had. So we look outside ourselves to be led. And that's their point, is to get us to do that so that big government, big pharma can lead us away from the miracles and resiliency of body, mind, and spirit that we're all born and blessed with. And ultimately, that's my message. I survived the absolute impossible, and I'm so happy to be here now at this pivotal moment in time to just remind everybody of those abilities that we have within ourselves, because that information was suppressed under national security for over 3 generations. And just like the multi-generational abuse becomes autogenic, the suppression of information becomes farther and farther away from us. It's still in us, just like all my memories were still in me. They're still within us, but we forgot after all these generations of this natural mind-brain function in our body, mind, spirit resiliency, being suppressed under national security, our birthright knowledge, so that we have to look outside ourselves for answers. That's absurd. And now that the secrets are out and people are waking up, and the great awakening is happening on a global scale, this is our time. This is why we're here right now, bringing this truth to light. This is our time to share our life's purpose and do exactly what you're doing, and empowering others with truth that makes us free.
Yes, I agree 100%. And thank you also, for recognizing, I guess, the role that I play in this new awakening.
Yes.
I wanted to say that for me, thinking about what you're talking about reminds me very much of the movie that came out called The Wizard of Oz. And,
Yes.
It's like somebody with nothing to offer anybody is hiding behind the curtain, pulling the strings.
Yes.
And as soon as we realize we have the power, so you don't need even ruby slippers. You can just go, there's no place like home. And where's home? It's in our heart. And everything we need to know will be revealed to us. As you will well know, Cathy, I'm so thrilled about the work you're doing. I am so sorry for the pain and suffering that you've gone through in your life. I had a little taste of it in my family of origin, but nothing compared to how bad it could have been. And I take, comfort from that. But people don't realize that these programs are still going on today. And so I know we have to be a bit careful how we talk about the last couple of years, but I have just seen manipulation and bullying, psychological bullying on such a grand scale all over the world, so that people are so frightened and they're just doing what they're told because they want to get through this. And they really still haven't pulled back that curtain to see what's behind it all. And so I'm just thrilled to bits that you're here today and that you can talk to this, to this subject with everybody. So we know that we can recover. And I know I've done a lot of recovery myself. I know that we can recover. We got to believe that, I guess, first of all. But where would you take people as far as options or ways of seeing reality so that people can wake up and kind of sober up, for lack of a better term, and, recognize the great power that we have? And I think as soon as enough of us do that, it's game over. And we get this great new society to attach ourselves to.
We do. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. And when people are divided, they don't have that compassion and love for each other. They don't communicate with each other. It's all snap judgment. And we've been socially engineered by controlled media and the education system to be divided, to be separated, to not talk with each other, and instead just do this very shallow snap judgment. Because really all the divisiveness is skin deep when you look at it, and it's just very, very shallow. When we know who we are, we know our own truth, and we go within to find our source of strength, that infinite source of love within us all, that strength of the human spirit, we naturally unite. That's where we're all united in purpose. That's where we're all united in love. That's where the divisions no longer apply. So really, it's within each and every one of us to look within ourselves for our strength and stop blaming everybody outside ourselves, and stop following leaders that we didn't elect. Stop following self-appointed authorities that are leading us outside ourselves when we've been blessed with so much all along, and we have that capacity within us. So it's there that we all unite. And I would advise, everyone to try one simple trick that Mark Phillips taught me. Mark Phillips was an intelligence insider working the highest levels of mind sciences when he saw how children were being used to compromise politicians and judges, to allow for that handful behind the wizard's curtain trying to appear all powerful, this small cabal, this dark energy force that's wanting to control people and are imposing trauma on people. And they're wanting to be able to assert that on a global scale, because this is a global effort. And Mark saw the erosion of our constitutional values of freedom and justice for all through compromising the politicians and the judges. He saw how mind control was being used on all of humanity. And he saw, most of all, that pertinent information on our own mind-brain function, on our own immune systems, on our own strength of spirit. Simple, basic, birthright information had been buried for generations under national security and kept from education and society. He was livid. He couldn't release that information because he was bound by laws of sedition working in intelligence. But he could certainly make a difference in light of what he knows. He was an example to us all to make a difference right where we are, whoever we are, whatever we're doing, because mind control, human trafficking, and abuses are going on right in our own communities, in our own backyards, and we need to open our eyes and face it so we can stop this dark cabal But Mark he rescued my daughter and me right out of the Washington, D.C. swamp and handed me keys to my own mind. Mark didn't deprogram me. He just reminded me that it's within me to heal. And my brain knew I was safe for the first time. So it started opening neuron pathways. I didn't know good people even exist in the world when Mark came along. So I couldn't judge that, but my brain knew I was safe. And it started opening the neuron pathways, and these memories were intruding on my present. They were flashing it. So I'd make a note. He said, the pen is mightier than the sword. Make a note of what you're seeing with a pen and paper, because the very act of moving a pen shifts information in the brain over to logic, over to the critical analysis part of our brain. It's an important part of our processing of information that we need to reclaim. We got to get writing by hand back in our school system. That's part of thinking. So anyway, he told me to pick up the pen and paper and just start writing out my memories. And I did. And I was so devastated by not only what had happened, but what was being done to society, what the plan was for this new world order, tyranny, slave society agenda, what was being done to the children. I was horrified. And Mark told me then, he said, voice no negatives without a solution. And that pearl of wisdom right there lifted me out of the dark pit of negativity that was all I'd ever known. And I was remembering it. And I didn't even know how to think for myself, but to think in terms of a solution, especially if I'm writing the negatives and add a solution. Then it forced my brain to fire a new way. So more neuron pathways opened up. And I started learning to think for myself. I could see, it's like rising above the storm and being able to see clearly the path forward. It was such an exciting little tool right there, just writing out trauma, writing out fear. I encourage everybody, write what's immobilizing you, write what your fear is, write what the trauma is. And then add a solution and lift yourself from it so you can see clear. And then go take a walk in nature, breathe in the air. We need to get oxygen to our brain for free thought, critical analysis. So get out there, breathe in the air and embrace nature. Listen to the birds, watch nature interact, feel the ground beneath your feet, and reground yourself in who we really are and what our life's purpose is. We're all here right now at this pivotal moment in humanity's history and future to live our purpose. We have something to contribute, and it's within us all to discover what that is, just like I did, because we have a lot to do right now to stop this dark cabal from their illusion. We need to tell their secrets. We need to pull back that curtain and expose them for the small handful that they really are. And then ask ourselves, why are we letting a small handful of self-appointed criminals manipulate our brilliant minds and lives? Why are we allowing that? And then we can stop complying with them. We can realize our own strength. We can start talking to each other eye to eye, heart to heart, soul to soul again, instead of snap judging. We can reach out to each other with compassion, because any level of mind control, whether it's information control or otherwise, the first thing to go is compassion. That's what we're seeing in our societies, this snap judgment, lack of compassion. It's because people don't know their own truth. They need to find it again. What is it that angers you? What is it that is so negative? Make a note, write it out, add a solution, and you're on your path to rediscovering what is within us all, the beauty of the strength of our bodies, minds, and spirits. It will return to us all. It's our birthright. It's still there. We just forgot about it. We forgot about it because we've been bombarded so heavily by big pharma and big government, do this, and even big religion, the cults and occult aspect that want to lead us outside of ourselves rather than embrace that source of love within ourselves. So it's time for us to turn within and find our answers there, find our peace. World peace begins within each and every one of us when we rediscover our own peace. And it begins with free thought. We've got to reclaim that first. So do what I did, pick up that pen. And that's the methods Mark taught me are posted on my website for everyone to have now when they need it most. Everyone everywhere can learn to expand their thinking beyond the negative bombardment that we're being traumatized with every day. This is our time. This is our time to shine and share truth with each other and empower each other to start living the love that we're meant to live.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. I really hear you when you are talking about big religion. I told you briefly before the show that I spent 17 years of my adult life as a Jehovah's Witness. And nowadays, I just stay away from religion because I don't need it. We don't need a go-between. We got it all, and we got it all inside. And I get people all the time going, "Oh, Karen, you'd fit in so well at our church." And I'm going, "Nope. As soon as I open my mouth, I won't fit in anymore anyway." But that was that required a certain amount of deprogramming, that I had to do from that too. And I'm not suggesting people quit their religions or quit their spiritual beliefs or anything like that, but it's just recognizing how much power we have within. And this whole idea that we don't know what we want, so they have to censor all our social media, and we have to go see the doctor and do what the doctor says, and all these so-called experts, which really just want to make money off of us. Really, and in that way, they're like cannibals, consuming us for our resources, our energy, things like that. And I've just found that staying away from all of those things has really helped me so very, very much. And of course, having this podcast and getting to meet amazing people like yourself, Cathy, has really helped a lot. I'm wondering if you want to talk a bit about the documentary and your ebook.
There's a documentary, the Trance movie, is about mind control, human slavery, and healing the nation and the world, and reminding people that it's within us all to heal. It's more than just the Cathy O'Brien story. It's really about us all. And I'm really excited about the movie. It was so strange after pulling together all the pieces of my own past, and healing and all, to think of someone pulling together all those pieces in a comprehensive manner that would empower people, rather than traumatize people. Don't need any more trauma. We need truth that makes us free, But it's like the whole thing was like so divinely inspired. And Adrian Youngblood, we just came together on the whole purpose behind it to empower people with the truth. And it's being well received on a global scale. And I'm very, very pleased with it. People can access it on my website. All my books are secured on my website. And I'm no stranger to censorship. I've been censored for so long. And my 1995 testimony for Congress, national security was invoked on it. And it's pertinent information that if everyone had been able to read back then, we wouldn't be experiencing what we are today, because people would have been armed with the truth that we need to know to navigate through these times and protect our children. But that information was censored under national security. And censorship is one way where truth is, suppressed. But in addition to that, my truth, my testimony has been diluted in that the information has been made as free ebooks all over the internet. Is pirated, and those free ebooks have altered the information to promote the new world order. Same with access denied. The information's changed to show that people, can't heal when in fact it's within us all. So they're still trying to squash that information. They don't want that healing information out there. That's why I've got PTSD Time to Heal secured on my website and released it in ebook form, even though it's something you do with a pen and paper. Shut off computers, walk away from the TV, get away from your phone and music. Just shut it all out. Hear yourself, go within and sit quietly with that and start writing. That's the way it's intended, is more like, it's just this thin little workbook. Mark couldn't release that information, but it was my experience to heal with what he taught me, and I can release it. I'm not bound by any laws of sedition. That was my healing experience. So it's available for everybody right there, and it's just a reminder of what's within us all, and go straight to the source for the information so that it's not diluted or censored. And then I encourage everybody, even though every word in Transformation of America was validated by clean members of law enforcement and intelligence, I encourage everybody, research it further, because the more you know, the more you see that it's absolutely inexcusable that we allow this dark cabal to affect our beautiful lives any longer. This is our time. This is our time to shine. And truth really does make us free. So we need to make sure, we get truth out there over the roar of shallow divisiveness and the diluting of information. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Oh, MK Ultra is over. And MK Ultra is the one that really came out big was an LSD experiment, and everybody who's talking about MK Ultra is just having a flashback. That's so not true. The LSD part, I'm sure, was an experiment at one point, but it didn't work. It doesn't allow for compartmentalized memory. It doesn't work. It doesn't do what they wanted in the brain. They have other drugs and other means of compartmentalizing memory, harmonics being one, so we just got to make sure we get to the truth, research it further, and you'll find it an amazing world for us to explore that's been within us all along.
Many of us have now discovered that the world is not what we thought it was, and global events have left many feeling unsettled and even isolated. Karen Holton offers vital services that may be just what you need as she supports your journey into the weird and wonderful. Karen offers awakening support and ascension consultation to support individuals on their journey. For more details, check out her various vital services. Once you find your way through this process, there are many blessings on the other side. Visit Karen's website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, to get started today.
Absolutely. It's funny, people, even when it's right in front of our faces, sometimes we don't want to recognize it. But I live in Canada, and we've had all kinds of newspaper headlines saying that the RCMP and the government of Canada used the last 2 years to practice mind control on unsuspecting, citizens. And they just pushed us this way and that way with it was pretty stressful, I have to say. But it actually worked in my favor, because I got to stay home and work on all kinds of stuff, including myself. But anyway, so even with it being headlines in newspapers and mainstream news, people still, they don't believe it, or they don't really get the scope of it. But what I really like about your work, Cathy, is you're solution oriented, and together we can change everything. And I love the solution that you've presented today because it's so easy. Anybody can take a pen and take some paper and start writing out their stuff. And, I encourage people to go down to the dollar store and buy some of these really cute little journal books and notebooks and all kinds of things. And then just spend some time, without being super distracted, like what you mentioned, Cathy, shut off the technology for a while and just start feeling, remembering. And as you've explained, it's the actual process of writing it out in handwriting, not typing, not printing.
Right.
And that actually opens up, as I understand it, the neural networks that we need so that we can release and heal. And do I have that right, Cathy?
Yes, and writing by hand, whether it's print or cursive, works. And because sometimes a memory might surface from a very, very young child that prints, So when I started writing out my memory, it wasn't like a book and it wasn't comprehensive. It was little bits and pieces here and there and scrawled differently, and it was a mess, to look at. And yet it was the pieces of my mind coming together. And once when trauma occurs and it compartmentalizes, you get so many different compartments in the brain, they don't intercommunicate. This part doesn't know what this part did, this part doesn't know what this part did. So it causes a lack of communication. And when we look at how society is being divided, we got the same thing going on. There's a lack of communication. We need to unite in the common bond, right here, right at the source of our being and our love and our infinite strength is just all right there. And then we can unite as a society and as humanity again, and not be divided, because divided we're easily led, just like in the human brain. So being able to open all those neuron pathways and get a free flow of information, that's so nice to have. I'll tell you, I never take my free thought for granted. I never take my ability to live love and to live true to soul. I never take any of that for granted. And when I see people, so busy in their daily routines or whatever, and, working their 9 to 5 because, it's a slave society agenda and people are having to work several jobs and they get so focused on, we got to stop, pull back, take a minute, deep breath, pick up a pen. We got to pull it all back together. We got to reground, all of us, everywhere. And then we're going to find our strength is so infinite that it's been absurd that we allow this dark cabal, they're low vibration, and they feed off a low vibration. They feed off of negativity and fear and terror and trauma. That's their vibration. That's what they like. They can't relate to love. When we live love, that's just so big. That's like light overcoming darkness. It's the same kind of vibrational concept. And darkness can't creep in on light. The only way that ever happens is if we let it in. But light sure can eradicate darkness. So, it can all be so simple when we just pick up that pen and unite within ourselves and then unite in society by the power of love.
Mm-hmm. Now, love is something I understand that they don't know how to do, but it's like they're missing the cabal and dark forces. It's like they're missing basic components, which keeps them separate from even the human experience. Yes. So they not only lack empathy or compassion, they lack love. They don't even know some of the wonderful experiences we have being fully human. And they don't have the creativity to really fix things and make things work. They don't know how. Bunch of dumbasses. I'm sorry for saying that out loud, but a bunch of dumbasses. And here we're letting them and their spoiled children and their spoiled grown children that are just running amok. And it's like they're using us as chess pieces on a chessboard. They're just playing. They're completely disconnected. But that doesn't mean that we don't have our power or that we can't use our power. We certainly can. And so what gets me really excited is I'm a firm believer that we can fix everything. We can go to the natural world. We can see how the bees build things. We can see how the beavers do things. We can watch the bugs out in the backyard in the grass, and they're all busy doing stuff. And it's a beautiful, harmonious world, but we kind of have to step out of what I call the construct, which is the reality they're telling us is real, and get back into our natural way of being. And it's so lovely. It's almost like all that other stuff disappears. Life just gets better. We sleep better. We start making better food choices. We start hanging around with people that validate us and love us. And it's a beautiful life. It's a really beautiful life right here in the heart of all this darkness. Do you have anything you want to add or say about that, Cathy?
Mark always reminded me wisdom outthinks a criminal mind every time, because they lack the depth. They lack the soul and the wisdom and the love. They lack all that. We think we have so much capacity for thinking way beyond them. That's where we win. That's where they lose. They're flat thinkers. They're following a DARPA computer generated plan, artificial intelligence. It's like, it's so flat. And no matter how intelligent it is, it's flat. It lacks the wisdom. It lacks the depth and the capacity to be able to make a difference. So that they fear that in us because they know that's where we win. We just forgot that's where we win. Once we remember it, all that's left is to claim our victory. Embrace life again. Embrace life's purpose and get out there and start enjoying the lives we were intended to live. This dark nonsense, this immobilizing constant bombardment and negativity is not what life is for and what it's about. And we just need to remember that.
We sure do. Now, I'm wondering, Cathy, if you see a place for spirituality, or is getting in touch with yourself and your power, is that spirituality? What's your response to that?
Absolutely. Without free thought, there's no free will. And without free will, there's no soul expression. And to me, soul expression is the strength of the human spirit embodied so that we can make a difference. But that strength of spirit is so infinite and vast. And no matter what my body endured, no matter how I was being tortured and abused, my spirit was always in a safe, loving space. And that space is like what people describe if they've been in an accident or something. They're kind of like, they get an overview of what's going on below, and and it's sort of like that. It was that kind of safety. They never could possess my spirit. They couldn't do anything to my spirit. All they could do was stop me from being able to think, to express it. And wow, the experience that I had on that spiritual level is something that now that I can think free and make my own free will choices and have my soul expression, I keep that spiritual channel wide open, because I know that, it's a well-worn path for me. So why in the world would I ever close that? It's just, some people meditate to get there and some people pray to get there. The fact is, it's within us all. And once we access it, it's an infinite source. To me, that is the ultimate spirituality, and something that we find within ourselves. I think originally maybe churches attempted to remind people of it, or, kind of reflect that to them. But to me, a church would be a place when you have that to go and embrace others that are celebrating their strength of spirit, and see what you can do in the community together, a place for community to come together and go make a positive difference, with numbers, a place to unite. So I have a nice vision even on, that church level. But I was abused in so many churches too. And survivors are coming out from the Catholic Church, the Mormon Church, so many from Jehovah's Witnesses.
Jehovah Witnesses. There's more pedophile cases with the Jehovah Witnesses than there is in the Catholic Church.
How can that be?
Horrendous. because in the Jehovah Witness, so all women have to obey the men. The men have what they call headship. We're supposed to be in subjection, which literally means slavery. We have to do everything we're told. And so if a child has been sexually abused, they have to sit and face the person who did it with a little few of the what they call the elders, which are men. It's a frightening experience to face, someone who's hurt you, and it doesn't work. And so what happens is cover it up, and point the finger at the Catholics. Funny thing about that is after I left the Jehovah Witnesses, I was a single mom with 2 kids, had no money and no job, and things were a bit tough. Guess who came to our rescue? It was the Catholics. It was ironic, but it opened my eyes that there's, kind of good and bad in every crowd.
Yes.
But the point is that people are under slavery often within these fundamentalist religions. They think they're free and they're not. They have no idea what freedom tastes like. And once you taste it, oh my God, you want more and you never go back.
Exactly. That's so beautiful. And there's so many, we hear so much about this satanic ritual abuse, and the evil is evil, the dark abuse of children, whether it's in a cult or occult church, it's the same. It's the same point. It does the same damage, and it's the same evil. So whatever we want to call it, but there's so many people who've been abused in churches that know it. And there's not much voice to be able to give to that, because it's hard for the good people within the church to realize that was going on right under their noses, that it's happening right in plain sight. But my owner in MK Ultra Mind Control would often say that good people don't think to look for that kind of criminal activity. Mm-hmm. And they don't. And when you realize that, it's like, oh, it's not that everybody condoned the abuse. It's that they can't even wrap their brains around it, So there's a lot of people within churches that are not getting the understanding and compassion that needs to be. So it's so important to bring that truth to light and to realize that mind control of any level, whether it's a cult or cult mind control, it cannot be, a religion can't cure a religion. The answers are within us. The healing is within us. And good people within the churches want to help the ritually abused, and end up triggering them and making a mess of stuff by the language that they use, just the semantics alone, and given power to Satan. Satan's got as much power as we give him this, any evil, just exactly like this cabal, these perpetrators who are, and they only have as much power as we give them. They only have as much power as we let them steal. We need to realize our own power, and that power source is within us. It's within us all, and it's within us all to heal. And it'd be great if the churches would embrace that and look around and dare to open their eyes to what's happening right in plain sight. Children aren't being just abused in underground bases, it's easier for people to wrap their brain around. It's happening right in plain sight.
And right next door. I grew up in a family of origin where my parents were like pillars of the community. Nobody would have believed us if we didn't tell. So in some ways I was lucky, because I had a stepdad. He didn't sexually abuse me, but he used MK Ultra techniques of mind control. He identified where our blind spots were, and then he used that against us. And so we were constantly under so much literally torture, because we were constantly being humiliated and it was just so bad. But I count myself lucky. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. I have met people throughout my life who are just people next door. Nobody would know about the incest, about the sexual abuse. And a lot of these, I think it's a hell of a lot more common than what people even think it is. But the stigma makes it so that you don't want to tell anybody because, number one, no one would believe you because everyone loves your parents and thinks of just the best, amazing people in the community. But even just the people next door who you know a little bit, but you never really get to know them, what's going on. It's unbelievable. And so I see this sickness, I'm going to call it a sickness, as being manifest at every level of society, regardless of our cultural beliefs, regardless of our skin tone, regardless of our country of origin, regardless of the status or financial or lack of, that you grew up with. It just seems to be everywhere. But as soon as we take back our power, these things are being talked about a lot more than they ever were before. And thanks to the work that you're doing, Cathy, it's really opening up people's minds to see this isn't something that was put on a dusty shelf in the 40s. This is happening today. It's happening to all of us. And what's really interesting too is I found when I cut my ties to external experts, I found that I had this natural wisdom that would bubble up like a spring within me that showed me how I needed to eat, what I needed to do, who to stay away from, who to draw closer to. It is absolutely so fabulous. I would never trade it for anything. And I want everybody to experience this. And I think it just starts with going, okay, there's a problem. What can we do about it? So they can follow your advice, they can watch your documentary, they can get your ebook, they can start following different people who have successfully found a way out. And then we start living what I believe is the true life. And you put it really well where you said free will. When you don't have free will, you don't have a true life experience. And free will is a kind of a gift we give ourselves. Do you have any more thoughts about that, Cathy?
Oh, you've said so many wise things all along the way. And I love how you pointed out the way that children who have been abused can be identified by these perpetrators who have the knowledge and the insight. They can recognize an abused child and manipulate them very easily. They know they're highly suggestible because when our subconscious mind and when our mind is shutting down and compartmentalizing, it leaves the subconscious open to being easily led and manipulated. And there's so much of that is going on in our society. When children are identified, we need to start, being able to identify those children ourselves and protect them. We've got to stop this structured abuse that has gone on through secret societies, through secrecy, and under the reps of national security for way too long. This is a time for truth to prevail. This is the time. And I'm so grateful that you're doing all you can to bring truth to light, because you are so wise and you have so much to share, so much wisdom to impart and empower other people with. And wow, you're amazing. There's so many of us right now that have come out, and you can't say, oh, someone's had it worse than another. Anybody who is rendered manipulatable and with a heightened suggestibility, that's over the line. That's not tolerable. That's too much. It's got to stop. And it begins within us all.
I totally agree. Totally. And this world will naturally become clean again as we wake up, as we take our own power, because what comes with that, I believe, is this free thinking that allows us to go, wow, I don't want to pollute, the environment. I don't want to be mean
Right.
to animals. I don't, it's interesting too. Sorry for taking off on a tangent. And before I go there, I want to say thank you so much for your very kind compliments, Cathy. I don't
Oh,
consider myself as being really that wise. I just know what I know, and I'm never letting it go. Let me just
that's
put it that way.
right.
Yeah. So, but a lot of what's happening in the world, people, it's just too horrible to consider. It's too, but you gotta face it. And I think that's how we get out, is by going through it. And we go through it and we come out the other side, and then all things are possible. And yeah, I'm ever so grateful to have you on the show today, Cathy. Hope you'll come back in the future and share some more of your wisdom. I'm going to make sure that I put in the description below, the links so that everybody can find your material. I'm even going to put it along the bottom of the processed video once I get that done later today, so that everybody can just find you very easily. And I want to tell you how much I personally appreciate the work that you're doing, because you've inspired me to hang on and keep doing what I'm doing. And you've given me new ideas to add to what I already know. And it's like we are, as a community, a global community, we're creating these tool belts where we have everything we need, and we can adapt it to every circumstance. And I'm very hopeful for humanity. And I'm very hopeful that we're going to get it right on planet Earth. I think it's ever so important. Now, before we close out today, I'm just wondering if you have any last things you want to say, any messages for humanity, anything you want, go for it. And tell people again, for those that are listening to the audio podcast, where they can find you, Cathy.
Yes, they can find me at formation.com, transformation.com. And you can contact me through my website. My information is secured on my website. My blogs are posted there pretty regularly, and interview discussions like we've had here today, I was posted on my site as well. It's all secured there. So I encourage people to go to trans-formation.com. And I'm really excited about what's happening in the world. What my experience in MK Ultra Mind Control gave me eyes to see mind control being unleashed on humanity on a global scale. Mm-hmm. And the effects of it woke people up. They overplayed their hand. They made the big mistake. People sheltered at home and started looking within. They shut off those TVs and they found some answers. Now they're wanting more. And there's a great awakening that's happening on a global scale. And fortunately for me, I've got eyes to see that too with my life's experience. And it's a beautiful thing to see. This is our time and it can't be stopped now. There's too many of us awake and aware, and word is spreading thanks to people like you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolute pleasure, Cathy. So I hope you have a really good week. I don't know if you celebrate solstice, but happy solstice. After today, the days start getting longer and brighter again. I'm all excited about that. Yeah. And yeah, I'm just absolutely thrilled to have you on this show. And I want to thank the viewers out there, because without you, I wouldn't even have a show. Thank you so much for sharing this show with your family and your friends and anyone who you think it would inspire. And people who need this information, please do help us get it out there. And I want to thank you, everybody, and thank you so much. And I hope you all have a really good Christmas week. I don't know if you celebrate Christmas. If you don't, whatever you do, celebrate something. And I wish you the very best week ever. Bye-bye, everybody. See you next week on the Quantum Guide Show. Thank you for joining us on the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube, Odyssey, and Telegram channels. Like this video and share it with your friends. You can also find the Quantum Guide Show and my other podcast called aliens and astrology on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. That's www.forbiddenknowledge.news. And while you're at it, check out my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com, where you will find some amazing products and services and an abundance of free resources to help you with your journey. All of the links are in the description below. And in the meantime, until we see you next week, keep up the good work.
Splendor into endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul, I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play. It's okay. It's okay.